Welcome back to Steadfast Strength, the Mom Fitness Podcast. I am Kelsey Wolf, and today I have a guest with us. Her name is Jerusha. She is a member of the gym. She's a chiropractor, an entrepreneur, a mom, and she's going to just share with us a little bit her expertise, her experience, and I'm gonna let her tell us about herself.
Okay, so like she said, Jerusha Franz-Lubers. In the office, I go by Dr. Jerusha Franz-Lubers. I'm a chiropractor. Past 19 years I've been practicing. 19? Okay. Yes. My first year I practiced in Omaha, and the last 18 years I've been practicing in Fremont, Nebraska. Fremont Chiropractic Clinic is the name of my clinic. And we've been living here in Arlington, Nebraska with my husband and 5 children for the past 12 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, and is chiropractic work is that what you've always done?
Yes, that's my first profession, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful life. All the little things, all the good dreams. I just wanna be in a beautiful life. Every sunset, every sunrise, every new breath, every goodbye, all the mountains, the adventures, every moment. It's a beautiful life.
Okay, so she says she has 5 kids, so tell us more about them.
Yeah, I have 5 kids. The oldest is 18. It's a son. He's a senior in high school. Will be graduating soon. And then I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she's a sophomore. She's also a member of the gym here, and she loves it. And then we have a 13-year-old son, almost 14, in 8th grade. And then we have a 10-year-old son and a 6-year-old son. He's in kindergarten. So I've got the full spectrum, senior in high school. I've got 1 in junior high. I've got 2 in elementary, 2 in high school. So full spectrum of kids. So, but we're glad to be out of the baby phase, glad to be out of the toddler phase. Not that I didn't love that. I love that, but we're moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On to new things.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and your husband, 5 kids, live here in Arlington. You're a chiropractor. Like, what's your family dynamic as far as like health, wellness, training? Like, you're a fairly newer member to the gym, but you've been active before you were at the gym.
Yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about like what you guys do or who you are.
Yeah, awesome. As far as like our activity level, like when I was growing up in high school, I would lift weights, was involved in sports. My husband as well. He was a Division I collegiate athlete, and so
Like a Husker player.
Yeah.
I feel like people know that.
The Nebraska Cornhuskers back in the day when they were fabulous.
Fun.
When Nebraska football was fun. But fitness and health and wellness is obviously important to us as a family, not only because of our background, but because I'm a chiropractor, and like if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Activity, being physically active is important to us. We're oftentimes playing basketball in the backyard with our kids, or playing a game of kickball in the backyard with the kids, or they're involved in sports. And my husband and I work out, have a Peloton in the house, have a gym weight set in our garage, a treadmill, and we're out walking around town often in the evenings together, and try to set that example for our kids. They're involved in sports, but we want them to know that once they graduate from high school and become adults, that staying physically fit and making your health a priority is important. So
That's
trying
awesome.
to set that example for them.
I remember like us moving to Arlington. We could see your house from like our backyard. I would see the kids like out there shooting hoops, or I would be on a run or a walk with Andy, and we'd see you guys out walking. And I was like, man, that family seems cool. Like they seem like they do a lot of like cool things, like healthy, active things. So glad we finally get to connect more.
Yeah. And we just love being outdoors, camping, hiking, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so educate us about chiropractic care.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
I think
if someone's listening, okay, so like the first time, my like first introduction to chiropractic care, not even introduction, like I just didn't really know it existed. I think I grew up with like a friend whose mom worked at an orthopedic office. And so she was like, chiropractic care isn't real, maybe is just kind of like the connotation that I had as a kid. And I never really thought anything different or experimented with it or tried it until I started training. And then people in my circle were like seeing chiropractors. But then I was also like, okay, some of it seems like sports related or functional, some of it seems kind of like whimsical, and I just I didn't know anything about it. So if someone is maybe like me then listening, like how would you describe what chiropractic care is to them?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
that's great.
Okay.
And it's a good question because I think there are so many misconceptions about chiropractic, and that's just because there are so many different chiropractic techniques. When I was going to chiropractic school, there was like 200 different chiropractic techniques.
And they're called, so they're referenced as techniques.
Techniques,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And they're all different, and some of them are very different from others. And so when people have in mind what a chiropractor does, there's a lot of confusion because we all do it so very differently.
Yeah.
But to kind of like summarize what we do in general as a chiropractor, I was thinking about it this morning and I thought this would be very relatable since we lost power for several days. And
I know we've been trying to do this podcast for a long time. And like just different things kept coming up. But last week it was like the power was out on Wednesday. I'm like, oh, well, Thursday, surely it'll be back up.
Yeah. Yeah, like widespread power outage is what we've been dealing with for days.
Yeah, for days.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and during that time, we all found ways to function, right? Like some people had generators, some people were using alternative sources of heat, alternative sources of cooking and whatever, but we all like found ways to function, but we weren't thriving. We were just kind of surviving.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And as chiropractors, like we're the ones that are restoring the power back.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So when we restore the power back, we all got power back finally Saturday afternoon, and we're like, finally we can have a hot shower, we can have Wi-Fi, life go back to normal, we can function optimally, we can thrive.
Yeah.
So as chiropractors, we're restoring the power back to the body because what we do directly influences the nervous system.
Okay.
And your nervous system controls and coordinates the function of everything else in your body, your tissues, organs, and systems in the body. So when you have spinal misalignments or subluxations, it interferes with that communication pathway between the brain, which is your central nervous system, out through your peripheral nerves to your body, and it interrupts that communication flow. And so it's like dimming the lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
It still gets some nerve flow to whatever that nerve impulse is supposed to travel to, but it's not getting the full nerve flow.
Okay.
So by adjusting the spine, we restore that natural nerve flow, and it's like restoring the power. Then you can whatever system in the body that nerve is traveling to can fully function optimally again.
Okay, so when
Is that?
yeah, that's helpful.
Okay,
That's
okay.
so helpful. So when like let's say the power's dimmed,
Yeah.
we're not functioning optimally. What are some examples of ways that might feel like,
Okay.
for a person?
Yeah, or what that might look like.
Yeah.
So yesterday in my clinic, I had 2 new patients. One was a 18-month-old, and the chief concern, or the reason that the mother brought her in the office, was she had a rash, like most likely eczema. And the other new patient was an 11-year-old with ulcerative colitis.
Okay.
Yeah, so not what people typically think
Yeah.
of going to a chiropractor for, but I do a lot of like chiropractic is healthcare. It's not just neck pain, back pain, headaches.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it could be multiple things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that is so interesting to me. Okay.
Which really
Yeah.
like opens the conversation.
Yeah, totally. So, okay, let's take a step back. Tell us more about your techniques and what you do.
Okay.
To start, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the techniques I do, it's a combination of probably like 4 to 8 techniques.
Okay.
That I've kind of taken a little bit from each and made my own. But
Okay.
it's
So like you get trained in a different technique. Is that kind of how it works?
yeah. When you go to chiropractic school, there's the core curriculum where you get taught like core 4 to 5 different techniques, but then you can take elective courses to learn other techniques.
Okay.
And so most of what I do in my office were elective classes.
Okay.
And kind of took a little bit from each technique and kind of created my own, you could say.
Okay, and is that what a lot of people do? And is that why it's kind of confusing? Because there's just a lot of different kinds of practices?
There are some, like what they call straight chiropractors, where they just stick to one technique and that only, and those are straight chiropractors, not in the term that we use straight for otherwise, but in chiropractic, just sticking to one technique. And then there's mixers.
Okay.
Mixed techniques.
Okay. Oh my goodness, that's funny. The lingo.
So I'm a mixer.
Okay, yes. So tell us about your techniques.
So I use a lot of different lower force techniques. Very gentle. Like I said, I adjust little babies, but I also adjust, like I have a lady that's going to be turning 98 next month that comes in regularly. And pregnant women, but athletes, large men, like full spectrum. And it's it's even though it's low force, very effective, very gentle.
Okay, so help me understand these conditions and like how chiropractic care, without like giving me a full scientific. You know, I don't want you to have to go too deep into the recesses of your knowledge, but
no problem.
Like for someone that's like, come on now, how does that really solve eczema? You know, or whatever. Like, what's the response to that?
Okay, so we'll start with the top of the neck.
Okay.
A lot of the things that I see babies for are caused from subluxations at the C1 or the top vertebrae in the spine. And that top vertebrae, the atlas, surrounds the bottom of the brainstem, so it's such a powerful area. And that's the most common area subluxated or misaligned during the birthing process. So if there's a subluxation at C1, that's going to affect the nerve supply to the ear, the middle ear specifically. And so if that middle ear is not able to drain properly, fluid becomes backed up, stagnant, infections occur.
And so that's all from the alignment. Like, so when you adjust, what like happens?
So
does it free the nerve?
Okay, so can I use your finger?
We're
on video here. So for those of you that aren't watching, I'm gonna kind of squeeze your finger, right? So there's a misalignment in the spine, and it kind of is going to not necessarily pinch the nerve, like everybody thinks they have a pinched nerve, but put pressure on that nerve, or maybe stretch the nerve, or just kind of like chafe or rub the nerve. And so when we remove that subluxation, remove that pressure on the nerve, then that natural nerve flow returns. So the nerve impulses, or that communication between the brain and the body, is restored.
So it can tell it to drain.
It restores the function properly. So like in the middle ear, we have these little like cilia, like hair-like structures that helps push the fluid out. If it's not getting the proper nerve supply, that's not going to happen, and that fluid's going to get blocked up.
Gotcha. That's a great example. Okay, thank you.
So then you get an ear infection. So like,
Okay.
I've got 5 kids, never have had any ear infections.
Oh my gosh, well, if that isn't a testimony, I don't know what is. Okay.
So like that's one example.
Okay.
Somebody comes in and they're like, oh, I've been nauseous all week, but nobody in our house is ill. I don't know why I'm dealing with this nausea. I'm going to be looking between their shoulder blades, T4, T5, T6, because it's the neurology that exits the spinal cord at that level. That would innervate and control the stomach function. Right? Or if somebody comes in and they're constipated, I'm going to be looking in the lower back, lumbar spine, lower thoracic and lumbar spine, to see if there's any nerve interference there causing that area of the body not to function optimally. So like restoring the nerve flow, which is like turning that power back on to that area of the body.
That's great.
Okay. Am I helping connect the dots?
You're helping me.
It is kind of like big, deep topics, but trying to help you connect the dots.
That's great. Okay, so that's...
And in turn, like a lot of people think of going to a chiropractor for pain, and I do see a lot of patients and help them resolve their pain. The nervous system is also going to control your pain perception as well. Like the same people that are coming in with low back pain, those would be the same nerves that would control the bladder, small intestine, large intestine. Those people with low back pain probably are having some gastrointestinal issues or bladder issues as well. So by correcting the subluxation, returning that proper nerve flow, the pain is going to lessen, but their organ function is going to be more optimal as well.
Awesome.
Does this?
This is great. Thank you. Yeah, I don't care what everyone else thinks. Like, I need to
How
have
much
this
more nerdy do you want me to get?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That was really
good.
great. Yeah. Okay, so people come in kind of thinking like, okay, I've been having these health problems. Maybe I need to be adjusted, or pain. Maybe I need to be adjusted.
Yeah, that's how people normally start.
Okay. So, just talking about chiropractic care, can you give us maybe some of the big hitters, like most common things people come to you for? You've talked a little bit about like newborns or back pain. Are those kind of two of the top?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some other?
Yeah. Well, I think all chiropractors are different, like we were
Yeah.
talking about, and they specialize in different things. In my clinic, I'm more of like a general health and wellness practitioner. And so it's really a wide variety of things that I see in my office. Like we talked about some of those things with babies, ear infections. I see a lot of babies with colic, or babies with MSPI where they have some food sensitivities. And there's a technique I do in my office called NATE, or Nambu Depressed Allergy Elimination Technique, where I can test them, and then there's ways to desensitize them, so the mom can have a wider variety of a diet while she's breastfeeding and nursing.
Excuse my ignorance, but it works.
So those are some of the most common things we see babies for: ear infections, colic, tummy issues, skin issues. And then as they grow up and become a toddler, like between the time that they're born and they become a toddler, they've had falls as they're learning to walk, and all those things hundreds of times. So there's usually some subluxations caused by that. And as toddlers, we see it as picky eaters or bedwetting. See a lot of kids and effectively care for them with chiropractic care with bedwetting, or just uncoordinated crawling. You see a baby that's army crawling. That's not normal. There's something neurologically going wrong there. Or tantrums, that sort of thing. And then we get into school, and all of a sudden, they enter kindergarten and their posture becomes horrible, because instead of moving, which our bodies are designed to move, they're sitting in a desk for long periods of time. So then they start having bad posture, which affects their spine and health. We treat a lot of kids for ADD, ADHD. That's usually an upper neck or upper cervical problem as well. Sports injuries once they start playing sports, which entails a lot, different conditions. I see a lot of pregnant women. I have seen a lot of women over the years with infertility issues. I can't even count on my hands and toes how many women who were previously infertile got under chiropractic care with me, and then were able to successfully conceive.
Wow.
Which is probably the most rewarding part of what I do. Those are my funnest cases.
Wow.
And then taking care of them through pregnancy, and then into, like older adulthood, more geriatric concerns, and helping them with their balance issues as they're getting older, and encouraging them to weight train and get strong, and so they can stay independent and stay healthy in their homes, but helping them move with ease and independence, so they can have some independence. Okay. So that was a lot. Does that help? That's my day.
Never boring.
No.
I'm like, I need to schedule appointments. That's great. That's so great. Okay, so I do have some questions.
Sure.
Okay, so backing up again, you've talked about how there are like a lot of different types of chiropractic care and chiropractic techniques. How does a person know which kind of chiropractor they need to see?
So I always tell people, and I'm never offended if somebody goes to a chiropractor other than me. I'm just thrilled they're getting chiropractic care. And you probably feel the same way with your gym. Like someone goes to a different gym, you're just thrilled that they're exercising.
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot of different type of chiropractors. And I always tell people, if you try one and it's not a good fit, try a different type of chiropractor with a different technique, just like you wouldn't go to a restaurant, have a bad experience, and never go to a restaurant again. You would find a different restaurant to go to. So if you've tried chiropractic care and you didn't feel like it worked or it wasn't the right fit for you, find another chiropractor. So how do you find a chiropractor? I think you just do your research online. Most chiropractors have websites. Read through their websites, see if it might be a good fit for you, learn about their techniques, or what kind of practice they have.
Yeah.
Is it sports injury? Is it auto injury practice? Is it a pediatrics only practice? Is it a family wellness practice like I have? And and what fits for your family and your needs?
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Length of care. Like my experience with chiropractic care, I usually go to like a sports chiropractor. It's like if the things that I know how to do to like alleviate pain aren't working, I go see him. And like usually I'm not injured. I just have something like misaligned, or he can adjust me, and he can show me some different techniques for getting things moving properly. And we kind of go like case by case, or like week by week, or every other week until the problem like resolves, or until I'm good enough to kind of manage it on my own. How does that differ among practices, or what does that look like in your practice? Like, is chiropractic care using the kind of techniques that you use, is it like something where people are just kind of on the regular, like coming to you, or do people come to you for a certain amount of time? What does that look like?
Yeah, so in my practice, since it is like health and wellness is what I enjoy most, we have patients coming in with, as a new patient, their primary concern is whatever pain or whatever health concern, and the like original treatment plan is tailored for that, to take care of and get them relief from whatever their primary concern is.
And do you know, like, kind of when you're dealing with a problem, like, this is probably going to take this amount of time, or is that just something you have to figure out as you go along?
Yeah, so on the initial visit, we do an exam, and depending on what we find on that exam, then we would set up a treatment plan for that.
Okay.
And once we get through that initial treatment plan and take care of their chief concern, along the way, those series of adjustments and those series of visits into my office, I'm talking to them about like wellness care, and when we finish that original treatment plan, it is their choice if they want to continue for wellness care, coming in occasionally, so that if there are some spinal subluxations, we can detect those and correct them before it becomes symptomatic. Or they can discontinue care. And if that's the case, I'm happy to welcome them back whenever they need care in the future. So we have both. You know, we have people that come in and get their chief concern addressed, and then they continue for wellness care, just occasional pop in for checkups to make sure that we can maintain all that progress we did make initially. And then we have some people that get under care, get their chief concern taken care of, and then they discontinue care and they come back in if they have other concerns that arise. But like, wellness is what I'm passionate about.
Okay. Talk to us a little bit more about that then. Like your philosophy on wellness, maybe what that looks like in your practice, but with your family, how chiropractic care fits into that, what else fits into that puzzle for you guys. So a visual that I sometimes share with patients is in my office is this picture of a tree. Okay. So imagine a full grown, what do we have around here? Cottonwood trees. Okay. And one half of the tree, and it's a full old tree, 100-year-old cottonwood tree, and one half of the tree is like barely living, but there's a little bit of life in it, a few branches with some leaves, you know, and then the other half of the tree is like beautiful, full branches, full leaves, and like I show my patients this picture of this tree where it's half dead, barely living, and the other half of the tree's fully living, and I'm like, okay, when you're 85, 90, 95, what kind of life do you want to have? Do you want to be still thriving and living a full life where you can fully enjoy life and do activities and enjoy your family, or you just want to be barely hanging on to life? Right. Like breathing but not living.
Not thriving. And everybody's going to have the same answer, but the decisions that we make on a daily basis is going to determine what kind of tree we have, or what kind of fullness in life we have when we are elderly.
I'm passionate about that here at the gym too, you know, because it's like sometimes when you care about it, it's, you know, like, not to say it's too late, but kind of like, you know, like it's always better to start later than never. But,
Absolutely.
But you know, like we've got this bank, like we're putting deposits in the bank every day.
With all of our decisions, whether we're in the gym, what we're drinking, what we're eating, whether or not we're getting proper amount of sleep, what we're doing to manage our stress. It's like all of those little minor daily decisions, but when we reach 85, 90, 95, like it's going to make a huge difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a great visual.
So
Yeah. Okay. So talk to it. Yeah. What else does that look like in your family then?
Oh,
for that?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your practice or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. So we eat healthy and clean, but we're not like extremely strict and extreme about it. Like
Okay.
we have pizza. We really like pizza.
I like pizza too.
But definitely cleaner than the average family.
Yeah.
I'm big on fruits and vegetables, and in our house we pretty much only drink water. Like
Okay. Yeah.
it's a very special treat for my kids to have pop. It's only like once a year at a family holiday, and then my kids have trouble controlling themselves because they normally don't have pop. We
Yeah.
have water at our house. We go to a restaurant, we have water.
Yeah. We're very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So eating healthy, trying to eat clean, but we're not 100% organic or anything like that. We try to live and enjoy foods, but make healthy choices.
Yeah.
And
you do that because you believe that, again, that
makes a difference.
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in how you function. And,
Yeah. Like
okay.
chiropractic philosophy, there's 3 things that are going to cause these subluxations in our body: traumas, injuries, that's obvious, toxins, all the toxins that we're exposed to in our food, in our water, in our environment. Sometimes we can't control it all. And then thoughts, which would be stress.
Okay.
So part of like
That's
wellness,
a chiropractic.
Yeah, that's a chiropractic principle or premise is that
Okay.
subluxations are caused by traumas, thoughts, and toxins.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thoughts are
So stress, the emotional stress.
And is that because of like how we carry ourselves when we're in stress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like this last week where all of us didn't have power for an extended amount of time, my patients coming in on Monday and Wednesday, because I work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, like very tense in through the shoulders, or they were sitting around more than normal rather than moving. So their pelvis is off because they've been laying around, sitting around on the couch. And So, but definitely stress. And I think people can feel that.
Yeah.
The tension they're holding, or
But
they
I don't
come down with some sort of health condition, and I'll ask them, well, what's your life been like the last 6 months? Oh, it's been horribly stressful. You know, I lost my mom or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, the stress definitely affects our health.
Absolutely. I see that in the gym too. You know, people will be like, man, I'm really struggling today. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on in your life?
Yeah.
You know, like the stress that you carry affects how you train too, like your whole everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those trauma, thoughts, and toxins are honestly like part of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, in my opinion, like those regular wellness chiropractic adjustments are so important, is because we can't always have a perfectly clean diet, and we can't always perfectly manage our stress, and that catches up with us. And so we need those tune-ups.
Okay. Yeah.
People do regular maintenance on their cars or on their teeth, and we need to do it for our spine too.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to hear more about your family and all, like how chiropractic fits into wellness for your family too.
Okay.
But now that we're on this, like, whatever it was, toxins, thoughts, and trauma, the 3 T's. Tell me about toxins.
Okay.
Because to me, like, to confess, one of my like hang-ups is like, what are toxins? Like, it's this like buzzword to me kind of, and like this all-encompassing word that to me sometimes feels like a little bit fear-mongering. Like there's toxins in that, or there's toxins in that. Or maybe not even fear-mongering, but like, what am I thinking of? Like,
overwhelming, isn't
overwhelming
it?
and like an excuse for something, you know, like, oh, it's probably toxins, or like just stuff like that. So maybe can you educate us a little bit on toxins?
Sure, without overwhelming everybody.
Yeah, without overwhelming us.
It is overwhelming.
Okay.
And we do live in a toxic world. I mean, like we just talked about food and water, but our cosmetics or our toiletries or our shampoos, conditioners, like all of those things, we need to be aware of it. And it can, our cleaning products, like, and I could go on and on, but
because it's like what is in those products are toxic to the body. Is that where we get the term toxin from? Or
example,
yeah,
with all the fragrances in our hand washes and our deodorants and our shampoo, conditioners, body washes, like there's foot fragrance and makeup, all those fragrances are hormone disruptors. So they cause hormonal imbalances. So that's
And what does that mean? Like sorry, maybe I'm getting too technical, but like a hormone disruptor.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, so a lot of those products are going to cause our bodies to produce extra estrogen. If we
Okay.
have too much estrogen, it puts us at risk for a lot of different health conditions.
Yeah, okay.
PCOS, endometriosis,
Okay.
cancer, cervical cancer, breast cancer, and I could go on and on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we need to be careful about those things, and
Yeah.
not to cause fear or not to overwhelm everybody. I always tell people, just like start slow.
Yeah.
Slowly start changing your products to a more natural, cleaner deodorant or shampoo. Read the labels. You can get products like hand soaps that smell nice because they have essential oils in,
Yeah.
rather than a lot of fragrance or whatever.
Yeah.
So just slowly start reading labels and
Yeah, so-
rotating things on your shelf and getting rid of stuff.
So what, okay, well actually a member of the gym, Erin, hi Erin, and I were talking yesterday about this app called, it's the Yucca app.
Yeah.
And you can like scan products
Uh-huh.
and it gives you like a rating on a scale of 1 to 100.
Uh-huh.
And it'll list some of the like ingredients that are in there that are toxic or harmful.
Uh-huh.
So it's like green, yellow, orange, red is kind of the scale.
Uh-huh.
And I've found that to be helpful. Again, I'm just like putting my trust in this someone else that's like rating these products. But when it comes to reading ingredient labels on things like cosmetics and lotions, like I don't know what I'm reading. You know,
Yeah.
like I can look at a bottle of ketchup and be like, okay, tomatoes, sugar, I don't want the sugar in that. You know, like I can recognize that. But some of these other products, I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions on that?
Oh,
Or is like
boy.
an app scanner kind of the best way to go about it? Or just, you
Yeah.
know, I mean,
I
okay,
think
sorry, I'm
starting to read labels, and if you don't know what something is, quick Google it. And it's probably something synthetic yuck.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
If it's, so you want to stick with natural,
Natural. Yeah.
natural
Okay.
things that God put on the earth for us.
Yeah, okay, that's
Not
helpful.
anything made in a lab.
Okay.
So, and if you're looking at labels and it's something that's hard to read or pronounce, it's probably something synthetic rather
Yeah.
than natural from the earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
But those apps, like the Yucca app, like if someone else is willing to do the research and give that green, yellow, or red signal for you, like save yourself the time and don't Google every product and do the research
Yeah.
yourself. So
yeah, I love that. And it's a free one, like for teaching nutrition clients stuff, I'm like, get out the app and scan it. And sometimes it'll give red for like high in fat or something, and I'm like, well, we need healthy fats in our diet too. So like, read why it's red. But for some things I'm like, oh, okay. Like didn't know that was bad for my skin, but I guess here we go. Okay. So thanks for educating us on toxins a little bit, because that's just been like a huge gap in my knowledge. And now let's get back to the picture of your family kind of, and health and wellness and fitness in your family. It's kind of, fitness has always been a part of it, like active in sports and all of that. You have this chiropractic piece, you have your nutrition piece, but tell us, like, you're a relatively newer member of the gym. Tell us like what got you into the gym and why that matters to you.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching you on social media and watching people in the community who are part of the gym, and I'm like, oh, I want to be part of that. Oh, I want to be a part of that. Because in the past, I really enjoyed lifting weights. Like, I loved it. It was just waiting for the right time in my life where I could be all in, because I'm either an all in or I'm going to wait till the moment is right before I can be all in.
Yeah.
And now the time was right.
Good.
And I'm loving it. But like, why I decided, because I've been active and I've been staying fit. I've got 5 children and I'm fit. And part of it's because the work I do, I am active. I'm on my feet all day, and then I go home and I've got 5 children, so I'm active. So I'm fit. It's not like I was out of shape, but I didn't want to wait till I got out of shape before I started. And again, back to that tree example, I wanted to, I want to age well. And I'm almost 43. I'll turn 43 next month. And so like thinking down the road, like I want to be strong. I don't want to be fit. I want to be fit and strong so I can remain active with my children and my family, and someday my grandkids and great grandkids. I want to be that fit and healthy and independent older person.
Awesome.
So, but there is, in my clinic, I'm all about like prevention. Like let's stay on top of our regular checkups so we can prevent these problems from spiraling out of control and you becoming really symptomatic. So prevention. So like, you know, like I want to prevent myself from having diagnoses or serious health conditions down the road. And by staying strong, you're preventing injuries down the road. And by maintaining a healthy weight, you're preventing illnesses and diagnoses down the road that I want to avoid. And by maintaining a good muscle mass, we're going to prevent, you know, so many different things. So it's about prevention to me.
Yeah, I love that.
There's a poem.
Okay.
John Denver told the poem, and I think it's titled "The Ambulance Down in the Valley."
Okay.
And I'm not going to quote the poem because I'm not somebody that can quote things, but I'll summarize it. So there was a cliff that overlooked the valley, and it was a dangerous cliff. Like when people were to go on the cliff, sometimes people fell off the cliff. And so everybody in the community are like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And there were some in the community that were like, we need to build a fence so people don't fall off the cliff down into the valley. And then there were some in the community that are like, no, we just need to have an ambulance down in the valley. For when people fall off the cliff, the ambulance is there to help them. And it was a big commotion in the community of like what they were going to do. And most people decided they wanted an ambulance down in the valley. So if they fell off the cliff, there would be an ambulance there. And really the wisest thing would be a fence to prevent them from falling down rather than falling down and then dealing with the crisis. And that's what I'm all about in my clinic, but in our family too, is let's stay under regular chiropractic care, let's eat healthy, let's stay physically fit to prevent issues. Like it's so much, I mean, if you just think about it financially, like gym memberships can be expensive or whatever. I'm sure people tell you that, but it's preventing you from having thousands and thousands of dollars of health issues down the road. And same with chiropractic care. You know?
Or like the ultimate cost, like death. You know, like, or being stuck in a chair for 20 years. You know?
If you don't have your health, you like, what does wealth matter?
You started with that, and that's good to me. Like,
So that's kind of why I decided to join the gym. I know strength is an important part of health and fitness, and I was ready to get strong, and I'm loving it.
Good, we love having you here. I'm sad I don't cross paths with you more often, but I'm so happy you're here.
Your other trainers are amazing.
Oh, thanks, they are great. I've got a great team. I love what you're saying though too about, I mean, like strength is so important for longevity, you know, and quality of life. And I'm excited to do a podcast with another coach here at the gym soon about some of that. Like, you know, in our 20s or whatever, you know, we take movement for granted. And if we are training, it's mostly for body, like to feed our body image issues, you know, and some of us get stuck there. And it's like, that is not what this is about anymore. This is about like living and being fully alive, you know, like sometimes our body, you know, like you said, like maintaining a healthy weight, like that's an important health indicator, you know, and like toning up by like losing weight and having your muscles show, like that's a fun byproduct of things. But like we're training for functionality and life and health and wellness now, you know. So yeah, it's training, it's food, it's chiropractic care and regular visits to your physician and, you know, like doing the things that you need to live a well-rounded, healthy life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And modeling that to your kids too. You know, like you've talked about that. Yeah, I think, I could go all day about that, but Awesome. Is there anything else that we should talk about that we haven't talked about? Are you accepting new patients?
I am. There is, I practice Monday, Wednesday, Fridays since I have 5 children. I need that time off so I can be at home with them and enjoy being a mom, which is balance. And that's part of health and wellness as well. But I do have, my brother is also a chiropractor and practices with me in my clinic, and then have a third doctor, Dr. Veronica Roman, in my clinic as well. So between the 3 of us, we can fit new patients in.
Okay, cool. Okay, we're not done yet. I have more questions. Okay. We haven't talked about like you being a mom and starting your business. Like,
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur, but you have 5 kids. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Oh boy, yeah. So I have 5 kids,
Yeah.
and if you would have asked me in high school how many kids I would have, like, I really wasn't interested in being a mom. I was going to be a career girl, and I have 5 children now.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change a thing. It was part of God's plan, and I'm so grateful His plan was way better than what my plan is. But finding that balance, it has been a journey, and it's constantly changing. And my husband and I have always been very prayerful about what we need to change to create that balance. And there's never the perfect balance, but for me right now, it's working 3 days a week and being and when I'm at home, focusing at home, on the house and the family, and being present.
Yeah, that is one thing I've really had to adjust over the last year. Is for some reason I thought, like, being a business owner and a stay-at-home mom, that I could just do both all the time. And that was so bad. Like, I needed times where, like, no, this is my work time.
Yeah, separate it.
Yep, this is my mom time. Because otherwise it was like, stop talking to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're 2. Sorry, just kidding. Like, you need your mom. But I was like, it wasn't productive for me to try to be both at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that balance. Okay, hold on. You've been a chiropractor for 19 years. You've had your own practice for 18. And your oldest son is 18.
Yes.
So the timing of that.
Yeah.
Were you pregnant?
So I was pregnant when I graduated from school.
Okay.
And had him a few months after I graduated from school. He was almost a year when I started my own practice.
Okay.
Was he over a year? No, he was almost a year when I started my own practice.
Okay.
And then, like, a year later, there was another one. 2 years later, there was another one. And I've always just, like, made it work. And I'm so grateful because I love what I do.
Yeah.
But being a mom has always came first.
Yeah.
Even though if you would have asked me in high school, that would have not have been the case. It is.
Yeah. Have the kids been, like, a part of that journey then? And cool.
Yeah. Cool. They, like, come to the office with me when they were younger. If their childcare provider, they didn't have a day of school, they would come to the office with me, and they know that there's boundaries there. But it has been best for me to keep them separate. When they need to come to the office, they can, but otherwise they would go to a daycare provider when I'm in the clinic. But yeah, and they help me. That I've been their first boss, for the older ones. Before they went out and got a real job and had a different boss, they worked for me in the clinic running errands or cleaning or preparing deposit slips or things like that.
Oh, cool.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and then another part that we didn't talk about that I wanted to talk about relating to fitness and, like, pain. Like, do you guys treat some of that stuff, or okay, so hold on. So, like, people talk about training, and there's a lot of fear around training, like fear of getting hurt, and you mentioned, like, you need to strength train because it actually reduces injuries, and that is true. Like, that is, the statistics say that. But there is risk in training for injury. And that's why, like, here at the gym, we're really big on progressive overload, like starting small and building from there, like prioritizing form. I've said it a million times. But, like, a lot of times I'll see kids that want to squat more than their cores can handle. And then it puts pressure on their back and they're not moving the way I want to see them moving. Like, things like that, where it's like, okay, well, we got to go back here and build it all up together, even though your legs are strong enough. Like, you can't support that weight on your back, whatever, all of that. So, like, I believe in being under, like, the supervision of a coach or having a program to follow so that you're making sure that you're progressing appropriately. Because to me, that's, like, another way to prevent injury. But, like, what's your view on it as a chiropractor, a mom of athletes who train, the risk versus the reward, the expectation of, like, knowing that things can still happen, like, what are some of your thoughts on those things?
Well, with my kids training, my husband and I training, he works in works out in a different gym. But I never fear injuries because as a chiropractor, I can a lot of times take care of those. And you can't just live in a world of fear. I'm sorry, what was your question?
No,
We're
like
gonna have to pause.
like the risk versus reward. Start
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Like, so you know that it can happen, but you're not going to live in fear of that.
Yeah. Not going to live in fear of injuries. And there's chiropractic care. There's stretching you can do. There's things you can do.
Yeah.
As you're training to help prevent those injuries.
Yeah. That's helpful for me too, because like I take a lot of responsibility at the gym as a coach. Like I can control like guiding people in progressive overload, and I can have control over like teaching people form. But like pain is complicated, so when people say they're feeling things, I'm like, I don't want you to get injured, but like, is it a misalignment, that's causing pain? Is it a range of motion issue that's causing pain? Like it's tricky for me to, with a naked eye, just be like, oh, well, you're okay, keep going, or you're not okay, stop, know?
I guess my advice would just be for people to really listen to their body as they're moving. And if that means slowing down as they're going through the movements and the lifts, then that's what they need to do. And paying attention, okay, how's my back feeling as I'm squatting? How's my quads feel? How's my hamstrings feel? How's my adductors feel? Am I placing the weight evenly on my feet like I need to? Like really paying attention to every aspect of your body. And if something doesn't feel right, then ask one of your coaches like, okay, this isn't feeling right. I'm feeling like I'm stuck here as I'm going through this movement. What am I doing wrong? So pay attention to your body, but then rely on the coaches to say, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Why don't we adjust this?
Because there are adjustments that we can make. There are modifications for movements that we can make. But we don't want you experiencing pain.
And you don't know what they're feeling. Only they do, but they really need to slow down, listen, pay attention to their body, and then communicate that to you guys, so you guys can coach them properly. And
I find myself a lot of the time, again, like finding ways for people to move that where they aren't experiencing pain, but then saying like, why don't you go check in with your chiropractor, your Jerusha, your Jeff, your whoever it is, like, and see if you need adjusted, or like if they can give you some like specific movement things to work on to help you with that movement. So like I feel sad when people get like stuck in places due to pain, because there are so many options for like ways to alleviate the pain, and so it's like here in the gym, like we can keep moving forward and getting strong by doing other things that aren't causing pain, but like let's still deal with the pain so that you can do the other things too.
So you don't plateau, so you can move past that. I can't imagine living life without chiropractic care, because I've been under it since I was 6 years old. But like, I can't imagine coming to the gym here and not having chiropractic care. Like the other day we were squatting and I was like, oh, my sacrum is locked, I need adjusted. You can feel that. And got that adjusted, and then I was moving better. I think anybody who's serious about weight training and fitness definitely need a chiropractic care, because it's going to help them feel better, recover faster from the workouts, but then progress and make those gain that strength without plateauing because of injuries and discomfort.
I think like I've tried to normalize that around here, that like getting chiropractic care, like it doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. Like our bodies are just dynamic and complex, so like get the care, the full rounded care, so that you can keep training. Like if you're going to be committed to training, and you're going to train hard, like you're probably going to get tight in some areas, because muscle breaks down and it builds back, and that's that can create tightness. So we got to, we have to work on the mobility, and see the chiropractors.
And I was using the term subluxation earlier. We were talking about chiropractic, and that's the term we used for these misalignments. But when these misalignments or these subluxations occur, that area of the spine gets locked, so there's no motion. So like by getting regular chiropractic care, you're going to have better range of motion in your spine. But we also adjust extremities, like adjust an elbow or a wrist or a knee, ankle, or whatever needs to. And we do that not only to restore that proper nerve flow that I was talking about, but when we do that, it restores a proper motion too. And life is about being in motion. And so I can't imagine like going through training and not being able to move freely like our body's designed to move. So in my opinion, it's like they go hand in hand. If you're going to be weight training, you need chiropractic care. Not, daily or anything, but somewhat regularly.
Like you and I talked a little bit about this idea of stagnation. So can you elaborate a little bit on that for everyone else?
Yeah. So stagnation, like the lack of flow or the lack of movement, is never a good thing. When we think of stagnation in the environment, like water becomes stagnant, next thing you know, there's mosquitoes, and or if the water's stagnant, that's not good for the fish environment. In our body and our health, like if things become stagnant, that results in disease or health conditions as well. Like I was talking about with the ear infection, if it's not draining properly out of the middle ear, kids begin teething and they get all mucusy. And if that mucus isn't draining out of their sinuses and out of their ears properly, it's going to become stagnant and become infected. Or if we're not fully emptying our bladder, we're going to get a bladder infection because of that stagnation, So, and as chiropractors, we restore the normal motion to the spine, remove those vertebral subluxations, which restores the normal nerve flow in the body. So we remove that stagnation in the nerve flow. And when there's proper nerve flow, then the body's going to function optimally like it's designed to do, or God designed our bodies to function optimally. So, and that probably relates to things in the gym as well.
I mean, I think about it just in terms of being stagnant, like one of the most discouraging things for people can be like becoming stagnant in their progress, and it's like you have to force your body to adapt to new stimuli in order for change to happen. And I think the longer that we know that the longer that we train, like the harder it is to see progress. So people come into the gym a lot and see these, we call them newbie gains, because they haven't been moving, right? And so you put your body under a little bit of adaptation and things happen pretty quickly sometimes. But then you stay at it and you have to fight harder for those changes to happen. So I think about that when you're talking about stagnation. And then also, again, injury can prevent people or pain can prevent people, and then they get stuck there because they don't know how to move or train around it, or they get discouraged because it hurts. Like, who wants to do things under pain all the time? See your chiropractor. The other thing I was thinking about, and that you said something about earlier, was prevention. Our whole talk on prevention, right? It's always easier to prevent than to have a problem and then have to treat it. So thinking about that in regard to the gym too, you might not wait to go, I'm bad about this, I wait until I have a problem and then I go see someone, right? But if you're just under continual care, you're probably going to feel better. And then the other part of that is people will come into the gym and all of a sudden have a shoulder problem, right? It's I think you've been stagnant for a long time and have never used that shoulder before. So I don't know exactly what's happening in that moment, if there's been a previous injury or if there's again these misalignments or whatever, but sometimes the pain that people feel when they're training isn't because of the training, it's that they haven't moved in 20 years. And their body's talking to them, their body's putting on the check engine light, oh, pay attention to me because there's been an issue here that you've been ignoring, and now you're trying to move me and use me in the gym. You've got to address this issue. And for people, I mean, it's, some people will be oh, training hurts. It's a very simple conclusion to draw. I tried it, it hurts, it's not for me, but then you're thinking why does a person train? For a healthy life, for a long life, for a great quality of life,
a full life.
So you can sit in a chair and not feel any pain ever. That doesn't mean that you're healthy or that everything works fine. You're just not putting it under any stress. And there's good stress. It's a good stress. Training is a good stress. So just because you come to the gym and you feel something doesn't mean that that's what caused it. It's probably been dormant in there. So stepping into the training world, you're not just stepping into the training world, but you might be, if you haven't been preventing, you might be cracking open some things that need to be dealt with by a multitude of experts. And it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I think you talked about it like starting,
Yeah.
you know, whatever it is
Small.
you're going to start with.
Yeah.
Start with one thing.
Yeah.
Let that feel easy.
Yeah.
And then worry about the next thing.
And if you were to start training in the gym and maybe didn't, because of some injuries that you're working through, maybe aren't gaining strength as fast, but you're gaining flexibility, then those are still gains.
Yes.
Like that's one
Yes.
thing that I've noticed since I've started in the gym is I have been gaining strength, but I've also been gaining better flexibility.
Yeah.
Which is so important also
Yeah.
with injury prevention and living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, that's really good. Like I see that a lot of times with people's squats. Like their range of motion isn't good when they first come in. So the weight needs to stay kind of light. But it's like as we work that range of motion, like our flexibility increases, we're building our core strength, and then eventually we can stack on the weight. You know, it doesn't mean that progress isn't happening, but we're just building the foundation.
Yeah.
For,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah. And then not comparing yourself to others.
Right.
I don't know how that fits into all of this, but just throwing that in there.
Yeah, that's another tidbit of wisdom. You know, there's always going to be someone faster, stronger, fitter,
Yeah.
further down the line. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Be happy for them and just enjoy the improvements you're making on yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Jerusha's accepting new patients, she said. I am accepting new clients, I guess, here at the gym. So.
And thank you
Yeah.
for inviting me. I love talking chiropractic and I love educating my patients. So like when you asked me if I want to come in and talk chiropractic, I was like, oh yes.
Yeah, good.
And educating each other and educating my patients is like empowering them.
Yes.
The more they understand how their body works, the more empowered they are to make better decisions. The more they know about the importance of fitness and strength conditioning, the more empowered they are to make good decisions. You know? So
yeah. Well, I like thank you because I mean like the Steadfast Strength brand, like for me it's about again like equipping people to be healthy holistically, you know, like in spirit and mind and body. And this is a gap in my knowledge. Like I do it because I know like it helps me to feel better. But yeah, for people that I work with, again, I'm like pushing them toward it, but I don't always know why. Like I just know that it works and it's good. So, but having that background knowledge on why and what we're actually doing is super helpful.
yeah.
So
restoring
thank you.
that nerve flow so their body can function optimally. The muscles,
Optimally.
organs, everything.
Yeah, turn the power on.
Yes, yes, which we can all relate to.
Yeah, yeah, at least in Arlington. Yes. All right. Thanks, Jerusha.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.